everyone, it's Ryan Fowler here with my good friend Tim Costello. Another amazing episode of MindChrysalis Live Inner Game Group. Anyways, good times. We have a very interesting show today. We are going to look at the inner mindset of ultra successful people. I did a show that talked about the theory of this way back, like 9-10 months ago. But we have an interesting conversation between Kevin Hart and Bill Burr, and also Alex Hormozi briefly talks about toxic shame and how it hits him. And there's an interesting emotional response I want everyone to see. And then we're going to have a discussion about, because there's some of these, not just successful people. I'm not talking about 5-10 million net worth or just, have a really good life. I'm talking about people, 100 million, billionaire, these super successful celebrities and whatnot. What's going on with their internal world, and what is it about toxic shame that can actually propel them to be ultra successful, but at the same time, a little bit tortured to some degree. So is that a necessary component of having this ultra success? Well, we're going to look at the clips first, and then we're going to dive in. But before we do that, Tim, welcome to the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yep, I am Tim with Tim Costello Hypnosis. I, along with Ryan and our friend Jordan and a couple of others that have been here before, continue to achieve and try to promote the idea that you can be as authentic as you need to be. And what you need to be is 100% authentic, because that allows you to achieve true happiness and joy. Take it away, Ryan.
Yeah, feeling accepted for who you are. Now, of course, there's times where we're strategic and diplomatic, but authenticity as a default is a great place to be comfortable with that, comfortable in your own skin. So 100% agree on that. And just so you guys know, we're both hypnotists, but we do a special type of hypnosis. We actually rewire your core identity beliefs so that you can be comfortable in your own skin, feeling you have authentic value just for who you are. It changes everything. We did a session for Tim's wife. How long ago was that? It was like last September.
About a year and a half ago. Or no, about a year and a half ago.
About that long. Okay. Yeah, a year and a half. Okay, that makes sense. And now your business, she was just telling me before we came on the show that she made with her business that she finally started after 20 or 30 businesses she couldn't start because of her anxieties. She made more in one day than she did with a week's salary. And she had a pretty good salary before. Is that right?
Yep, pretty decent. And the interesting thing is that, it's total revenue with a really good percentage of profit, which allows us to grow the business even further. We just bought some new equipment that's going to, bring more products into the foray and stuff like that. So she's no longer worried about what people think. As she was growing up, and we've talked about this before, she was taught to believe that what other people think provided your value. And you know how that goes, Ryan. No matter what they think, there's not enough good that they could think that would ever fill that hole inside of you of external validation. So,
yeah, and how many sessions did we do to get her unstuck?
One.
Boom. Now, it's not one for everyone. Some people are more susceptible to hypnosis than others. Most people, 1, 2, 3, they're great. Maybe 10% of my clients need more than 3. Small number. Honestly, probably 70%, 1 or 2, But yeah, the majority of people, 1, 2 sessions, 1 or 2, and their lives they feel way better. And now they're going after what they want. So your wife, and Tim, you as well, because you really don't have any toxic shame. You're just a solid, feel good about yourself guy. You're a successful guy, well into the 6 figures. Your wife, her business is booming and blasting off and making more in one day than her previous weekly salary. So you don't need this toxic shame as a driving force to be successful, happy, even a multimillionaire. But we're going to look to today, Alex Hormozi, for example, 100 million net worth, I think by age 31 or 30, somewhere around there. Took him 7 years to go from, 10 grand, 20 grand in the bank to 100 million net worth. We're going to look at Bill Burr talking about depression. Now, Kevin Hart, very interesting guy, because Kevin Hart's extremely successful, the comedian, but he is just a nonstop worker. And so we're going to get an insight into these guys and what propels them to work just unusually hard. Not just unusually hard, but there's workaholics who don't make it big. They just work a lot. So there are some other components of these ultra successful people. So I first want to show the Alex Hormozi clip. It's a short clip, but it's really interesting because of how he reacts while he's saying it. And then we'll go into the Bill Burr talking to Kevin Hart clip. And the big question for today is, do you need toxic shame to be ultra successful? So we'll discuss that after. Do you have anything? And by the way, you can see right here, you can actually try our methods out for free, because the school.com/MindChrysalis-7138. It's our free community, and it has a free 6-part self-hypnosis course on it. There's 2 videos to train you. There's worksheets. There's an ebook on how our subconscious mind works and why it keeps it stuck. I use this on me. Tim used it on his wife. Jordan Kurtz, I did a session for him. Really helped him. He will be back next week. I think he's traveling or something today. And that's Leopard Leatherworks. That's Tim's wife. Welcome to the show. And yeah, so it's not just her. Go to the video section. We have a couple more testimonials coming up probably in the next couple days. There's already 24 up there. People just having their lives change. And honestly, I have another 15 so that are not published yet. And we've done it for hundreds and hundreds of people at this point. Just very powerful, life-changing, your deep down core beliefs. Well, you can see her giving her testimonial right there. Thank you very much, Carrie. But you can try it out for yourself right now. School.com, MindChrysalis-7138. Join, we accept you in, and then you click Classroom, upper left corner, click the Classroom tab, then take the Subconscious Optimization 101 course. It's all free. It has self-hypnosis in there so you can start realizing the benefits. Now, it is a do-it-yourself course. About 80% of people are really going to benefit from it. Some people will struggle. If that happens, hit us up. We'll help you out. The one-on-one sessions, 95% success rate, but not 100%, but it is very high and very powerful for most of the people who do it. It's life-changing. So let's go ahead and dive in. And I'm sorry, Tim, did you have, we're going to play the Alex clip and then the Bill Burr and Kevin Hart. Did you have anything you want to add before we dive in?
Yeah, I want to throw out there, Ryan, that when we talk about success, particularly today, we're going to talk about tremendous public and financial success.
Yeah.
The real success, although that is very visible, the real success for a wonderful life is for you to know who you are, for you to have a solid frame from within to work, and then, quite frankly, just be happy and build yourself a legacy. If you watch the Dave Ramsey show, you will find people who are good folks, probably pretty solid, and one's been a postal worker for 37 years and the other one's been a plumber for 29 years or something like that. And they're together. They got out of debt. They saved their money. And now they got a net worth over $1.5 million. It happens all the time. It's more common than you think because you don't need the level of financial success with what Alex and maybe, Kevin and Bill Burr are achieving. Those are just very visible. What's key is that even though these tremendously successful people, visually speaking, achieve a lot, they're still troubled in their background. They're really not truly happy. Look at Robin Williams, Marilyn Monroe, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse. It goes on and on and on that they were trying to achieve because they thought that would fill the inner hole of self-validation, and it never did, sadly. So what we're after, although we're going to talk about some very public successes, what we're after is for everyone to have that solid underpinning of true authenticity, and we could show you how to get there.
Yeah, and we should all, well, after this, we'll discuss, is it worth it? Is it worth it to get $1 billion if deep down you feel like you're worthless?
Right.
So we're going to start out with the Alex Hormozi clip. It's a short clip, but watch his expression as he talks about what he talks about. And honestly, I'm going to challenge him a little bit because I know a guy, 9-figure net worth, who has interviewed 40 billionaires. He's had his own TED Talk, and it's just kind of his, I guess, passion project to interview billionaires. And so I'm going to push back on some of what he says, but there is a lot of truth. This applies to most ultra successful people, not all. So here is our good friend, Alex Hormozi. He has an excellent YouTube channel, by the way. If you want to start your own business, watch his stuff. His coaching's amazing, and it's free. Anyways, here we go.
They did this research study that said that ultra successful people have 3 common traits. Number 1 is they have a superiority complex. They think they're better than everybody. They think they can do bigger things. Second is that they have crippling insecurity of not being enough. I like that one, hits me. And then the third one
right there, man,
is impulse control.
He has it.
You saw it. It was an initial reaction, a good trigger.
Yeah, watch that again. It's kind of ironic. He says seemingly two contradictory things, but it's actually not. We'll play it again, though.
They think they can do bigger things. Second is that they have crippling insecurity of not being enough. I like that one, hits me. And then the third one is impulse control. So they know where they want to go. They have a way drive to not be a failure, and they stay focused on it because of impulse control. And so the idea here is,
all right, that's the whole clip. So here's something that's very interesting is what we tell people, part of our process to get trauma out of you, these insecurities, doubts, feeling not enough, etc., anger, whatever. Part of our process is for you to write out what you feel deep down in your core. And we have some methods to assist you with that. We have what's called a descriptive word list. We use kind of a belief elicitation technique. But then what happens is people write out some sentences describing how they feel deep down, and then they actually start to feel it. And that's actually a necessary component of the process. You know, month and a half ago, we did the Andrew Huberman show on neuroplasticity. It's actually a required component. But for him, all he had to say is not enough, and boom, he got triggered, which tells me he has a lot of this crap in him, a lot. What do you think, Tim?
There's no question, Ryan, especially, and this is what I love about the descriptive word list. And I tell my clients, when you're going through the descriptive word list, read each word slowly and read it out loud. Yeah. When you do that, one of those words associated with one of those 5 types of subconscious trauma will trigger you. You can't help it. There's going to be a pattern matched in the outside world that's you verbalizing it, that your subconscious is going to notice, and it's going to immediately trigger that emotional response. You can't help it. You can't stop it. You can't even control it. That's the word you write down. And then you continue on through the rest of the descriptive words to find other words that may do the same thing. And that's where you start with your dive to the 5 to figure out why that word triggered you and what it means to you. And important, we look at Alex Hormozi as uber successful.
And I think he's a great guy overall.
Yeah, yeah. Financially, publicly, good guy overall, married to a wonderful lady, so on and so forth. All the great attributes. But here is a guy with all this outward success, and he literally, figuratively, does not feel good enough to be standing where he's standing. He's faking it till he makes it. He's trying to get over and control that particular trigger. But it's sad because, man, could you imagine how much more successful he would be if that was removed?
Yeah, and I want to kind of, some of our audience knows what we're talking about, some do not. So let me give a little background. How our subconscious mind works is things happen to us in childhood when we don't know anything. We're trying to figure out the world as a kid, and we interpret things and we form beliefs. And subconscious trauma are painful feelings tied to painful beliefs. There's 5 types of these trauma. There's a lot of new, it applies differently to different people. Like, I'm not good enough. One person may feel I'm a loser. Another person may feel no matter what I do, it's not quite good enough. I'm always falling short. Another feels, why even try? I always fail. It's hopeless. Another feels like he or she is a creep, or unaccepted by others. So it's different for different people, but the descriptive word list, part of what we do in our free program right there, go there, try it out. It's changed. I've had people hit me up and they say, I lost 50 pounds because of your free program. I have a testimonial about to come out. The guy had 9 out of 10 anxiety. Listen to self-hypnosis audio once. It's gonna be on my channel in the video section in 2-3 days or less. He listened to one self-hypnosis audio, his procrastination 9 out of 10 permanently down to 3 out of 10. And then I actually did a one-on-one session with him and took it even further. He went from struggling his entire life to make money, like people were supporting him. And in the last 2 months, he's brought in 25 grand. And he's like, this isn't a coincidence.
Now let's break that up a little bit.
Well, hold on. I need to finish explaining.
Yep, go ahead.
So we have these painful beliefs tied to painful feelings. What happens as an adult, and that's buried in our subconscious forms in childhood. What happens as an adult is we're going through the world, and anytime there's anything or pattern in the outside world that matches a belief, the painful feeling when it comes to trauma, painful feeling tied to that belief gets triggered. That's what happened to Alex right there. Said, I feel not enough. And you saw a visceral response on his face. He's like, oh man, that hits me. Because if you feel that in your core, but he got triggered really easy, which means he has a lot of it. Easily triggered. Not enough. He's like, oh, boom. But that's what happens. Something in the outside world matches what's in you. The feeling gets triggered. That actually puts you in a spot where if you then do the self-hypnosis audio, you can clear that out. But the descriptive word list, so you guys know, it's just a list of words that may describe how you feel. It's a bunch of different words. The 5 types of trauma: feeling not good enough, you don't belong or fit in, you cannot get what you want, trapped anger, resentment, rage, or feeling unsafe. Those are the 5. And you just go through the list. Which ones pop out to you as applying to you, resonate with you? And Tim, I really like what you do, or you have them say it out loud, because that will make the effect more powerful. Try it on our free community, try the free course, and then listen to the audio and start clearing your internal world out, rewiring your brain. It's awesome. You just got to try it for yourself. Go ahead, Tim.
So why do people all of a sudden become a little bit more successful than they were before? They don't have more skills. They don't have more brain power. But what they have done is removed the inefficiency of their life. And what I'm talking about is, when I was at Amazon running a fulfillment center, my job was to stand around and ensure the shift runs efficiently as possible, because lost efficiency is lost money and lost time and lost productivity. So you set yourself up to reduce the amount of things you have to move, the places you have to go, that people who are producing what you're producing can do it more efficiently. It's the same thing in our lives. When you no longer procrastinate, it's not like you're sitting around going, hey, I'm not going to procrastinate today. You just simply get up and do stuff when you would have delayed. So you're now bringing the future closer into the now, right? So when you clear out that toxic shame, that subconscious trauma, it's now no longer in your way. You just to go be more efficient. So
you don't feel that internal resistance.
Right. If your income's going to double and you're a salesperson, why? You made more phone calls. you saw more people. It's not that your sales skills got better. You just became more efficient because the things that were causing you to not be efficient are easily removed. And now you're just doing your job.
Yeah. Now, let me break down what Alex was talking about. He's talking about the 3 things that all ultra successful people have. And so the first one, now, here's the thing. There's 3 types of toxic shame. That's 3 of the 5 traumas, subconscious trauma we're talking about. The first one is you feel who you are, your self-worth as a person is not good enough. But there's all the next one is I'm not accepted by others. I don't belong. I don't fit in. I can't connect with others. Something along the line of social acceptance and being able to connect. The third one is I cannot get what I want. They are actually, there can be a lot of overlap between them, but they are distinct. So what Alex said, it seems like he's contradicting himself because he says, first, you feel you're better than everyone else and you can do anything, but you also feel that you're not enough. Now, what he's saying is you feel you can get what you want. You have a lot of belief in your ability to go out and kick ass and do great things. So these ultra successful people, toxic shame number 3, I can't get what I want. They don't have that. They have the opposite of that. They have massive belief. We call it self-efficacy. They have massive belief in their ability to do amazing things. You know, Jeff Bezos, back in the 90s when Amazon was run out of his garage, said this will be $100 billion company. He said that back in the early mid 90s when he started Amazon, literally out of his garage. He knew back then, excuse me, he knew back then he was going to do great things. But at the same time, you can feel you're able to do massive, great things and kick ass where others cannot. But at the same time, you can feel inherently worthless, that who you are is worthless. And it doesn't seem rational. Guess what? Our subconscious mind is not rational. It develops when you're a kid. Most of it's in there by age 8. Our logical brain doesn't fully come online until age 8. So it's just how our brain develops. That's what Alex is talking about. You think you can do great things. And he says think better than everyone else. You can have that too. But deep down, you feel not good enough. You actually can have that belief system. It's kind of rare, which is why there's not a ton of super high producers, but it's definitely a thing.
Now let's talk about, Ryan, I'll jump in here. Along with what Alex calls a superiority complex, which quite frankly is nothing more, like you said, than the lack of number 3, right? The ability to get what you want. They know what they want, and they know that they can get what they want, right? But what drives them is number 1, whether or not good enough, because now they don't want to sit around and think about not being good enough. Alex went through enough of that, sitting on the couch doing nothing, right? His wife working it kind of thing and supporting the crowd. And he finally, the I'm not good enough toxic shame thrust him forward with the superior belief that he could get what he wanted and got him going. Now, as he started working and overworking, he was able to cover up that toxic shame. No different than drinking, doing drugs, porn, video games, whatever it is. His was overworking.
And so, Kevin Hart's going to talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So even though he has this number 3 where he can get whatever he wants and knows it, he's got number 1, which tells him he's not good enough. So he's got to use number 3 in an over-efficient manner to cover up number 1. But as you can tell from that talk, he can't cover it up completely. It's going to get exposed.
Yeah. And so a lot of these super, like, especially the famous people you see, like, end up self-deleting or they fall apart at some point. That's, Robin Williams, God bless him because he was an amazing genius comic. End up self-deleting. Watch the HBO special. It's on HBO Max still, I believe. Come Inside My Mind. It's about his life, his childhood, traumatic childhood. But what they're doing is they're trying to fill this hole in them with the success. So they kind of have this internal belief system that when I accomplish these great things, I'll be good enough. But what happens is external stuff doesn't fix our subconscious. Getting the success kind of temporarily makes you feel better at best. I know one guy in 4 months made 700 grand. He never made that much before in his life. I've never made 700 grand in 4 months. And I said, that's amazing. How do you feel? And he said, I feel not good enough. Like, I was like, what the hell? You've never made 700 grand in 4 months. I've never made, that's an amazing amount of money. In 4 months, you're already in the top 1% of income earners, more than that. Why do you feel not good enough? Because my friend already made 1.2 million.
Right.
I'm not good enough. So this mindset literally puts him on this hamster wheel of chasing success to feel good enough, but it doesn't fix that deep down core belief of I'm not good enough. You actually need to go inside and rewire that belief. It's stuck there until you rewire it. Till you use our methods to rewire it or similar methods.
You do have a client, Ryan, because you put a video up in an interview of him where he was uber wealthy, super successful, did really great. And what he learned was, you know, that hamster wheel you talk about being on of overworking. He now, after
he's off the hamster wheel
trauma from him, he's now able to work less and make more.
Yeah.
So the hamster wheel is gone and he can focus more efficiently. He can direct people well, knows he's got the confidence he needs to succeed. And guess what? Now it works out where he can relax a little bit and enjoy his wealth and family.
Yeah, and he is struggling with some health issues right now. I mean, he talks about it in the video, so I'm not like, you know, betraying any trust or anything. But for those of you, I actually interviewed an ultra successful guy. He owns over 50 companies. He makes, he's very, very financially successful. I did 2 sessions for him. And he now works less and earns more. So that's ultra successful Rick here. So if you guys want to see more on kind of like, do you need toxic shame to be ultra successful? Well, his toxic shame drove him to work very, very hard. This guy, Rick here, the third from the left, drove him to work very hard, but it's so interesting that he now doesn't work as nearly as hard and makes even more money when we got his toxic shame out of him. Very interesting. So be sure to watch that client testimonial. And he's a great guy, man. I love Rick. All right. So we're going to now watch the Kevin Hart, Bill Burr interview. And we're going to see how all this applies to them. This is actually quite common for these ultra high performers. Not all of them have it, but a lot of them do. Probably most. All right. So here we go.
From the bottom of my heart, you're a fucking mess.
I'm a fucking, what are you talking about?
You are, Kev. You are.
I might have been close to it.
The reason why you work so goddamn hard, there's 2 reasons. One, you want to be successful, all that shit, right? But you also, when you're fucking occupied, the smoke can't catch up with you. That's what I found in this pandemic.
All my shit can't catch up to me.
It can't catch up with you because you're doing the next thing and you keep it. It's just behind you. And all it takes is a fucking pandemic
to sit me down.
No more stand-up gigs. And you fucking clean the house and you threw out all your old shit. And then you're just sitting there. And then this melancholy, like from the first time in like maybe like a decade and a half, I felt depression start to come up on. Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck is this? I thought I was past all of this, and it wasn't. Like, I built this great life, but I didn't deal with this other shit.
When you sat down, you felt like all of that shit came or was able to catch up.
Everybody was quarantined. The phone stopped ringing. There was no more emails. I mean, there was occasional bullshit or whatever, but it was just like I had nothing to do.
Wow.
I just sat there.
Nothing to distract himself from the toxic shame in him that will come up if you have no distractions.
There, and this fucking shit came in like a marine layer. It just fucking settled in me. And my wife was looking, she was, what's going on with you? I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I got the fucking, the blues or so. I don't know what.
I got the DP.
Hey, Bill, we can fix it.
I got the pressures.
Yeah.
I got the pressures, honey.
Yeah, so I played drums too, which is great to, I
let off some steam.
And also sort of avoid what you're feeling.
Okay.
Key right there. Key right there, Ryan.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Even Bill Burr, tremendously successful comic, sort of that angry redhead comic kind of guy. He just said that he plays the drums to avoid the pain.
Yeah.
So he's got some type of toxic subconscious trauma in him that he needs to put to the side and either overwork, play the drums, whatever. And he noticed that during the pandemic, he had a lot more time because there were no comic gigs. There were no, in the clubs and stuff like that. He had a lot more time to think about what was going on. And that toxic shame will creep up.
Yeah. Alcohol sales went way up during the pandemic.
Absolutely, it did.
Got to numb it out, man. All right. Ryan Harrison, welcome to the show. A good friend of mine, Ryan Harrison. And his testimonial is on the video section of MindChrysalis too. Better to just not have both. I used to envy guys like Hormozi because I had a lot of number 3, which is you cannot get what you want. Yeah.
Yep.
And see, a lot of people do have this, I can't get what I want, or I'm not accepted, or I'm not good enough. And what it leads most people to do is just play it safe, stay small, live mediocre lives, average lives, so, but at the same time, I have to emphasize that you could have a person who just loves to teach and they become a school teacher and they love it. Maybe in today's day and age, it's kind of hard with all the bull crap going on. But they find something, they're a musician or whatever, and they just have a passion for it, and they're living a great life, and they have a great family and everything, and they're making $50,000 a year or whatever, 40, 60, whatever. And they don't seem like this amazing person, and yet they have a really
They are.
great, they are.
They
can
are.
be amazingly talented at teaching kids. They can be an absolute master at teaching kids, but that's not something that's going to make you millions of bucks.
Nope.
Maybe they come out with an educational program, sell it online and make millions, but maybe they just prefer that one-on-one interaction. So they just live a great life. So when we talk about super high performer, please understand it's not a necessary component to have a great life. It's really not. I think 20 years ago, I wouldn't even have to say that. But now in the day, and a lot of these Gen Zers in the day, in the age of Instagram and, seeing the Ferraris and, even a lot of the red pill guys think they need that. And, hey, listen, I like nice cars. I used to have the Porsche 911 Turbo and all that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It was a fun car. But I do want to emphasize it's not necessary to have a great life.
So when he talks about the hustle culture, guys, I think he's probably talking about either comedians or YouTubers or something like that, right? If you talk to comedians and you listen to them, the very first time they got on stage and everybody clapped, as terrifying as that was to be on that stage with the insecurities they were living with, when everybody clapped, they were hooked.
Yep.
Why? Because everybody, all 200 people in that auditorium, or 12 people or whatever it was, or the family at Thanksgiving, as they were entertaining, boom, here came all this validation that they had some worth to give. And it goes and it goes and it goes until, like Robin Williams, couldn't handle it anymore. There just isn't enough of that external validation to fill the hole of a lack of self-validation.
Yeah, and see, I think validation from others is great, but we should have our core at a place where we don't need it to feel good enough.
Right.
And when you don't feel good enough just for who you are, then you're going to spend unusual amounts of energy pursuing success, pursuing the crowd, giving you approval, or just whatever. And it doesn't ever fully take care of this pain in you. It just temporarily numbs it out from time to time. So, all right.
By the way, not all uber successful people are damaged individuals. Take a fellow like Gene Hackman, right? Married one lady, married to her forever, was in the movies for a long time, tremendous, phenomenal character actor. And one day he made this movie with Ray Romano, and the day after the movie was done, he hung up his hat. He no longer needed it. He was an actor. Acting was done, and he moved on into old age, having a good time. So it's important to realize that you can be uber successful and not be tremendously ridden with a lot of toxic shame.
Yeah, and so Rick Sapio, that ultra successful person I interviewed, I did a couple sessions for. He actually interviewed 40 billionaires, and he found out that most of them are not super hard workers. They're just very good at finding really good talent, being very strategic, leveraging that talent, leveraging all sorts of things to be successful.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so I do push back against what Alex says, that all ultra successful people have that crippling "I'm not enough." Maybe most of them do, but a lot of the guys Rick interviewed don't, so it's not a
tough
necessary
to wrap the whole thing in a blanket of one thing because you don't know. You have to talk to each individual person.
Yeah. Now, another thing I'll say is what happens with a lot of people who have a good internal world is they'll go out, let's say it is important to be financially successful, which is not a bad drive at all.
Correct.
And then these people they're making 200,000 a year, 300,000, 500,000. And they're kind of like, you know what? I can live an extremely good life with this income level. Like I said, I'm used to being in the six figures, and I got the Porsche, and I live in a luxury apartment. It's like I do, vacations in different countries, living in Mexico City now, been to Costa Rica, Europe, bunch of different places, Philippines. All right, you can do that on 200,000 a year.
Yeah, you can.
What now? You want a super big house? Okay, get your super big house. Maybe you need to make 300 grand a year for that. Now, okay, yeah, if you live in San Francisco, you need to make $1 million a year for that. But most people, 300. What are you gonna do now? So a lot of people, once they get the success, if they already feel good enough just for who they are, they're gonna start. Okay, I'm gonna do something, like charity work, or I'm gonna spend more time with my family, or I'm gonna do other stuff to find other types of fulfillment instead of like. Layla's Alex Hormozi's wife did a video on it, shows a big smile on her face and how she loves to work 98 hours a week. And that's them. They're doing 100-hour work weeks, Alex and Layla. It's like they're spending so much time on making money that they literally don't have, they're not gonna, they will most likely never be parents.
Not at this point.
And so they have to give up a whole bunch of very fulfilling things in order to have an extremely big business. You sacrifice everything for this one thing.
Yep.
And for most people, that's just not worth it. That's just not
healthy.
Life.
It's not healthy.
Yeah. But hey, if they, I really do think he does enjoy what he's doing. I think that is a big part of it. But yeah, it's pretty unbalanced. Guys, how do you get Nigel, welcome to the show. How do you stop getting into conspiracy theories, even though some of them are true? Geez, I got some thoughts, but you want to tackle that first, Tim?
Yeah.
I used to be a pretty big conspiracy theorist, and some of it is true.
So remember that when two people get together and come up with an idea to take something from somebody else, that is a conspiracy. When two people get together to do good for someone else, that is a conspiracy, right? Conspiracy just means two people working together for some reason. Generally, we throw a negative tone on there. Now, the problem with conspiracy theories is they're very sexy and they're very exciting and they're very titillating. So when you get into them, you sort of eat up a little bit of that kind of stuff. But what I always ask myself is, number one, what's in it for me, right? Can I get anything from that conspiracy theory? Such as, can I set myself up with some security? Can I set myself up with some privacy? Can I prepare for a disaster? Can I prepare for what might come down? Do I own a Faraday box that has my radios in it? Absolutely. So all these different kind of things. The question is, what are you getting out of the conspiracy theory? Because number one, they're fun to talk about. They're fun to spread. They're fun to have a great time with. But mostly they're just titillating stories that you can do nothing about. So why use up a lot of your time chasing them? Most I ignore, most I understand, but I always know that everybody's got an agenda. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah. So I used to really be into the whole conspiracy theory, InfoWars and Alex Jones and all of that. By the way, I think a lot of what Alex says is true, and I think a lot is overblown to be titillating. I think he's very sloppy, although there's a kernel of truth in a lot, not all, but a lot of what he says. And I used to have this subconscious dread that sooner or later, everything's going to fall apart. Some big disaster is going to happen. Some, police state or war or natural disaster, or I'm going to lose my job and lose everything, or some sort of, I had this dread, some sort of disaster is on the horizon. That's for many years back then, because I had that since childhood because of my childhood. But I was pretty much a match for these conspiracy theories that were teaching the same thing. The New World Order is going to get you, and they're going to put in this horrible police state. And look, they're already building these, slave camps out in the desert, or, that was a match for the dread I felt inside. So what ended up happening is I cleared my trauma, and I just kind of naturally gravitated away from that stuff. It didn't hold my interest anymore because one of the traumas is feeling unsafe, and feeling everything's going to fall apart sooner or later is feeling unsafe.
Yep.
So I literally went in and got that out of me. And in doing that, you kind of claim your power. Now, the truth is, I can go outside after this show and walk across the street and get hit by a car and die. That could happen. I mean, I'm going to look both ways before I cross the street. But if you believe conspiracy theories, hey, cool. In my opinion, some are a bunch of BS and some of them are legitimate, in my opinion. I think the issue is, are you unusually focusing? Like, are you preoccupied with them to an inordinate degree? If so, ask yourself, why do you think you're doing that? For me, it was a match for this trauma that was in me. And honestly, it is titillating, and it did help distract me, like video games and, other stuff, from feeling not good enough. You find something with some strong emotional content, like it's charged, you can focus on that and distract you from subconscious trauma that's in you that's painful. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for you, Nigel. I really don't know. But if people who focus on working super hard, they are distracting themselves from pain that's in them. That's the whole point of the show today. That's what Bill Burr's talking about. Work super hard. They become super successful, but they're doing that to run away from what's in them. It's not a necessary component of success. It may be a component for some people of ultra success. Those people, if they felt better once they hit their first 10, 20 million, they'd say, okay, now I'm going to spend time with my kids. Now I'm going to do other fulfilling stuff instead of just focus on this one thing, and I'm super good in this one area, but my life is unbalanced, because the truth is, you don't need $100 million to live. If you want to live an uber luxury life, really, and in fact, Alex Hormozi did a video on this. Once you make about $600,000 a year, you can live the life of the ultra wealthy. You can, have a charter jet 2 or 3 times a year. You can wear all the Gucci. You can have the, 6,000 square foot penthouse on the top of some building, and not in like San Francisco, but like a city that's not super expensive. You can do it. $600,000 a year, maybe now $700,000. But they're making $100 million a year. Why? They're not going to enjoy it. They can't enjoy it. There's no more enjoyment making $100 million a year over $700,000. So why are they doing it? The reason why is they're using it to run away from the demons in them, which is exactly what we're talking about today. Yeah. And we'll get back to this. Anything to add before we? Same thing with. Are you focusing on the conspiracy theories to maybe numb some stuff out, or is it an energetic match for you? You feel unsafe normally anyways,
what's key, Ryan, is cash in the bank or cash in the safe or whatever you want, right?
Yep. So, see, Nigel has the same dread as that I used to have. Yep. That's what I'm talking about.
If you are making $200,000 a year, that means you're earning. That means you don't have that cash in the bank. You have some liquid, right? You might have 10, 20, $30,000 in the bank over time, and it slowly grows because you really can't, quite frankly, consume all that and still live well.
I had that income and I was saving up over 50,000 a year and investing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there comes a
And I
point
lived
where
very well.
you have a lot more than you really need.
Yeah.
And then you start learning that you don't like debt, right? So you remove the debt from your world, and now you actually need less to live on. So you're saving more or investing or doing something else. So the key to all this is that when somebody says, I have 100 million net worth, that doesn't mean they have $100 million in the bank. It means that all of their assets combined equal $100 million.
Yeah.
It might be $10,000 or $20,000 in the bank, and that's it. And they've got a great income and lots of assets, airplanes, buildings, commercial warehouses, whatever the case may be. So like Trump's net worth is a couple $2 billion. He had a hard time putting his fingers on $500 million for this big penalty he had to pay, right?
Yeah.
Luckily,
He's actually
reduced
like
all that
9,
kind of
10
junk.
billion net worth or something.
Right. But net worth is a whole lot different than capital on hand. Really
Yeah,
key to know that difference.
5 million cash,
Right.
or forfeit, whatever that.
The Walton families of the Walmart empire, each of them, when Sam and Helen died and they gave all their 4 kids a quarter of the business, they've all got $25 billion, say. Not one of them could put their hand on $1 billion tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, they got great lives. They're very comfortable, so on and so forth. But the key is to understand what you're living on, because that's really what you're talking about. And what Ryan's talking about, whether you make 700 grand or 10 million a year, it's no difference in lifestyle. There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah. So why are they doing it?
Correct. Well, they're covering
some
up.
of them, I think part of it is they love to build an empire,
Could be.
Yeah. All right. So let's play the rest of this. Thank you, Tim. Rock and roll.
Brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Oh yeah. Oh, dude, that fucking movie. That movie one of the funniest. Oh yeah. That's once again.
You're Will Ferrell on Step Brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Oh yeah. Oh, dude, that fucking movie. That movie one of the funniest movies, not only because me and my wife thought it was hilarious, my mother-in-law thought it was stupid. And she sat there and watched this with us, and she was going, "This isn't funny. You think this is funny?" It just made it even funnier. And then I knew that part where he was going to put his balls on the drum and that they were going to show his balls. It's one of my favorite things ever.
I don't think I can. I don't think that I definitely know that I'm not a depressed individual, but what you said makes sense actually, though, about like moving so fast and shit never having a chance to catch up to you. And if it did have the opportunity, what effect on you would that have? All the shit that acts.
Now, how much quiet time do you have over the course of a week? Like when you ride in your car, can you sit in your car and ride in it, not be on the phone and not have the radio on? I already know the answer to this shit. I used to tease about you on the fucking when we were doing the pilot.
With you. I got, if it's not the radio or I'm not even gonna lie. No.
Yeah, because
Kevin Hart is an insane workaholic.
Right there. And why is he a workaholic? Because he is covering something up.
And Bill knows. Bill starts out, "You're a train wreck, bro."
Yep.
All right, we'll keep going.
He even tells him, I know the answer to this question, but I got to ask it anyway to tease you.
Yeah. By the way, we're not crapping on Bill or Kevin. It's just childhood trauma that hasn't been addressed.
It's not even their fault.
I both think they're hilarious, man.
Yep,
I love them both. All right, we'll keep going. And that's how they cope.
The demons all of a sudden, like what made you become a comic, starts coming up. Now I'm kind of at this crossroads where I'm sitting there. Do you live with your demons? Is there a way to face them and they do go away? Because that just sounds like some doctor.
Yes, there is a way to face them and you do go away. That's what we do.
He just hasn't found
it.
Yeah. They just don't know. That's why we have a show. We're trying to get this out to the world, how amazingly effective these techniques are. And we got the receipts to prove it.
One of the funniest inadvertent comedies I've ever seen in my life. I love the Dr. Phil show.
But the fine go away.
You need to stop doing heroin. And they're like, oh, okay. Thanks, Philip.
I'm fixed. But what do you mean when you say demons go away? Like, do you really?
So he calls the Dr. Phil show the best inadvertent comedy
Yeah.
because it's such a joke of a show that it's almost hilarious. You know, like you say, makes fun. I'm Dr. Phil. Stop doing heroin. Okay, I'll stop doing it.
All right. No more addiction now.
No more heroin. All right.
I
Anyway,
struggled
keep
with
going.
heroin for many years, and then
Yep.
Dr. Phil told me to stop, and I was cured. All right.
You believe that they go away, or do you
No.
just put them to rest? You can put it to rest, but if you want to wake it up, you can wake it the fuck up. There is no go
I
away.
like how you just said that. That just got me amped up.
Yeah, like
You
there's
wake the fuck up. Come on, Kev. Let's go.
yeah,
fucking
but it's true.
Hear
Like, there's
that?
no,
Hear that?
there is no.
So they're talking about it. Kevin says that you can put those demons away for a while, but you can also wake them up, right? And they're
Yeah.
going to talk about the alcoholic that all of a sudden he's not drinking anymore, but boy, get one drink, bam. All of a sudden that subconscious trauma is numbed again. And he's like, oh, this is good. And even Bill's agreeing with him. Yeah, it'll come right up.
Well, and the thing, with like alcoholism and other drugs is, and I've had clients who've had these struggles. It could be you take that one drink and then it cascades and then it gets out of control and then you're just drinking until you're blackout drunk. But a lot of the times they get triggered with some trauma and then they run to their alcohol. It could happen either way.
Yep.
So they're like, I can't handle this. Something just happened in my life that made me feel massively terrible. Now I'm going to the bottle.
And
Or-
they get triggered.
Or they're just careless and they have one drink and then it just cascades and boom, now they're black because they can't stop. Yeah. They get triggered. Yeah.
Go away. A person that was an alcoholic and decided to stop drinking, well, they put that alcoholic demon to sleep. But if they go and take a shot one day, well, that alcoholic demon is going to fucking get up. So it's how you deal with the things that you know are your worst.
I don't think that you can. When people say, "Yeah, I let all my childhood shit go," it's like you can't.
Nah, yeah, you don't.
You
Yes,
can,
you
Bill.
can.
You can. It's
You can,
hard.
and we
but you
do.
can.
They just don't know. That's why we have a
Right.
show. We're getting this out.
We dealt with it. It's like, I don't think pain goes away. I think it's always still there. It's just you're able to function more and more with the distance from the pain.
Wrong again.
He's right. He's right. The pain is still there, and you can function more and more as you distance yourself from the pain, which means you're covering it up.
Yeah, but you can get rid of the pain.
You can, absolutely.
But it's true. That's how 99.9% of people don't know you can actually get rid of the pain, not just mitigate it over time with normal therapy, which can help to a limited degree. I did normal therapy over a long period of time. It did partially cure some of my trauma, but you can just go in and completely get rid of it. You really can. Let me kind of qualify that a little bit though. You can completely go in. I have parts of my subconscious where something would happen. I get triggered. Now the same thing happens. I literally feel nothing. But there can be like subconscious programs you're not aware of. And then something happens that doesn't normally happen and it hasn't been cleared yet. And you're still getting triggered. So when that happens, you then clear it. So it is kind of a process of, you can 100% clear a bad subconscious program, but we may have 6, 7, 8 dozen of them in us, and some we don't even know they're there until they get some of the smaller ones. So
Yeah, we do.
when I
talk
say
about-
you can completely clear it, I'm talking about you knock them down one by one. You start with the big, massive one first, the biggest ones first, and you clear those 100%. You're still going to have these little ones you may not even know there, and they pop up, and then they clear when you pop up. But there can be a lot of little subconscious traumas that don't just get cleared out in one session,
Right. There are, as Ryan calls it, peeling the onion.
Yeah, I'm trying to be
a couple
accurate
of
here.
big ones off the top, and we peel
can-
those away. And
100%.
by the way,
Get it gone.
you
100%.
can't clear 100% of an 8-year childhood in one session. You can get rid of a big one.
You
that
can get
weighs you
the
down.
most severe stuff first,
Right.
and you can get that 100%
Right.
gone.
You
in
can
one
get that
session.
one big one cleared out, and then you could possibly see us again or do some self-hypnosis to continue to get the little ones that pop up. I even tell my clients when we're done now, over the next couple of months, if you get triggered and you feel something, write down what's triggering you, because that is going to take us on the path to determine what that particular pain is, right? And where that trauma comes from. And then you can clear that one. But over time, and even Ryan, I think a couple of times said he's still got one or two things in there, but they don't bother him. They're so tiny that if they did erupt, he handles them in 2 or 3 seconds, and he's
I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, they're just gone.
Also, I'd say it is somewhat different. Some people, they can have a massive trauma and it's 100% gone after one session. Some people, it's 60% gone, and they got to get the rest on with self-hypnosis or a follow-up session. So I do want to be accurate, but can you get trauma 100% out of you? Abso-freaking-lutely you can. You can get that pain, that particular pain that's plagued you your whole life, that anxiety has plagued you your whole life. You can absolutely 100% get it out of you. It is gone.
You know it.
I didn't hit my...
Nope, just
go
lost
back and relive it. That emotion.
Muted yourself, Ryan.
Okay.
There you go. You're good.
Is still gonna be in there, but I did learn, though. This is one of the hardest things I learned, that crying is a valid emotion, and it's so funny that men don't do it. And you try and stop it, and then that's what the shit just sits here. And the next thing you know, you're putting together a bicycle on Christmas, and it's not working. And then that shit that you should have cried about, that shit starts coming out, and people, where is this coming from? It's just like, oh, I got my ass kicked when I was 8, and I never dealt with it. So now
I'm gonna tell you when I cried, my and this is the only cry that I can truly remember in like the past, I'm gonna say 7 years. Outside, no, my kids being born, those are like the little cool tears where you're just welling up. But I'm talking really cried after my accident. When I got home from the hospital, I got home and I walked outside by myself. Nobody was with me. That's the only time. Listen, nobody was with me. I broke the fuck down so bad because when I walked outside by myself, it was the first like real steps that I've taken without people being around me. And you okay? You need anything? What can we do? How's that feel? Like, no questions. I did it by myself, but it's the first time that I realized I was like, oh fuck. It was really almost over.
You're muted, Ryan.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. He could not show that.
You're muted, Ryan.
I don't know what's going on. It keeps muting itself. He
know.
could not show that weakness to others.
Yeah, it's key. So he's going to talk about something here. And I think what he's going to experience is what's called joy. When he goes outside in the back and he's by himself and he's just looking at the beautiful nature and glad to be alive, so on and so forth, I think he's experiencing a little bit of joy.
All right, let's get to the joy, baby.
You know what the cruelest thing about life is? Wouldn't you love to be able to stay in that mind space, that head space, and just really appreciate just being able to walk outside?
Yes, absolutely.
And you were so happy that you could just do that, and you had this house, beautiful wife, beautiful kids, and it could bring you to tears rather than getting comfortable and getting used to it.
That's what the ultra successful who have this toxic shame usually sacrifice.
That's correct. Joy.
Because they're on that freaking hamster wheel running away from that pain in them. And they don't have time if they have some reflection, if they relax, they have some alone time, what happens? Instead of being able to savor those they love, etc., they start getting depressed, just like Bill Burr said during COVID for him.
And constantly needing new stimulation. Well, the last time I had to let it go was one of my great friends died back in August. So I'm able to talk about it because I just cried for a week. I just said, fuck it. I got kids now. I can't have this grief sitting in me.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and I really learned, and I actually think that that's one of the reasons why women outlive men is because it's socially accepted. They can break down in a...
I would agree with Bill there.
Fucking fuddruckers. packed Applebee's.
It's okay.
Nobody's going to judge them.
No,
People come,
it's
they're going
okay.
to come over and comfort you.
It's
If
okay.
you break down in an Applebee's as a man,
What the fuck is his problem? Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
uncomfortable. Oh, Jesus.
Jesus.
Whoa.
And I actually think, hey, I'm all for a guy not breaking down in public. But you got to handle it at some time. I understand strategically, you know, people are like, oh, you know, society's like, oh, he's a loser. Why is this? Look at this weak man. You know, that is society, you know, being society. So I understand
Ryan,
strategically.
got a hard stop in 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. We're almost done.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll just
Keep rolling.
going.
We're good.
But you got to address this at some time.
Absolutely.
At some point, you absolutely must.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
So
outta
I
here.
think that all of that shit, and it sits on your chest, and then one day you're walking, you fucking have a heart attack. You just keel over.
All right.
Yep.
That's it. Okay, so any final thoughts, Tim?
You know, it is so key to get your inner game squared away so that you can enjoy the joy and experience that you're supposed to feel. Period. That's it. This is all about joy.
Yeah, it's all about getting there, 100%, man. And believing in your ability and value, and then going after what you want the most, which
That's
gives
it.
us purpose in life. And on the path to going after what you want, you learn and grow. But you don't need these insane goals to constantly run towards to distract you from the pain that's in you.
Correct.
You know, so you're not a slave. You know, some people, their work is as much a drug as alcohol or a drug because it helps them run away from the toxic shame in them. And that's what happens with a lot of these ultra successful people. It doesn't happen with all of them. I've talked, you know, Rick, again, the very successful guy interviewed on my video channel, who I did 2 sessions for. He interviewed 40 billionaires. He knows the mindset of a lot of them are actually quite good, but not all of them. A lot of them do struggle in this way. So that is our show. Do you have anything final to add, Tim?
That's it, man. Find the joy.
Find the joy. Try out our free program. Ryan, by the way, keep peeling away those onions. Keep peeling away the layers of that onion. The more you peel away, life just gets better and better and better. And you've, Ryan, you've already had massive improvement in your life, and you did the work. So congratulations to you.
Absolutely.
For that, I know Ryan well. So that is our show for today. Thanks for watching. Get off the hamster wheel. You can still be, if you want financial success, you can have it. You know, become $10 million net worth if you want, but you don't need to work like a dog. And, you know, you can heal that stuff in you and then just live a happy, balanced, successful life. Or if you want to change the world, go for it. Do whatever you want, but don't be a slave. Don't let what you do be dictated by your trauma. Be the captain of your own destiny, doing what you want because you want to do it for your own fulfillment and the right reasons. That's our show, and you do have more power than you know. Thank you.